Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Hi, it's Bill Horvath from the Vancouver Canucks.
Hey guys, it's Brittany Palmer, the UFC Octagon Girl.
Hey, this is Trevor Hurst of Econoline Crush.
Hi, it's Bob Lenarduzzi of the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Hi, this is Theodis Crane from AMC's The Walking Dead and WGN's Underground.
Hi, this is George Thorogood.
Hi, I'm Jackie Childs, social influencer.
Hi, I'm William B. Davis, the cigarette-smoking man from the X-Files.
Hey, this is Jimmy Paul from Hell Yeah! And you're listening to the Toddcast right there in Vancouver.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Here we go, the first Toddcast of 2025, and I wanted to share something with you to start our 11th year podcasting. I had somebody say to me years ago, like 5-6 years back now, it doesn't seem like you have equal representation of men and women on your podcast. You have more guys on, which at the time, it actually bothered me. I may have had more men on. It's not like, we're specifically booking more men than women. It just happened to be that way. Rock stars, NHL players, UFC fighters, actors, it just seemed I was booking more men. And ever since that comment all those years ago, I've been aware of that and have made sure that women get just as much recognition and consideration to be a guest of this podcast. And this week, you'll hear from 3 women. Not that you'll hear anyone complain that I book more women than men. In sports, she is a top-tier weight loss coach. Molly McKennedy is a guest in 25.
I'm so glad you're bringing that up because that's actually a real struggle for many, many people. There's a couple things. Number one, when you can stay on top of your hunger throughout the day, then it does sort of offset that desire to snack a lot at night. If you're just not hungry because you've done well during the day, you've given yourself a snack every 2.5 to 3 hours. So my approach is, kind of like grazing throughout the day.
In entertainment, she's a dating coach, building men's confidence and making meaningful connections. Blair Anderson is also a guest this week.
Yeah, I had a lot of different things I wanted to do growing up. I'm trying to think in high school. I feel like in high school, I wasn't that dialed into what I wanted to do. I was more focused on how can I hang out with my friends and have fun and go where I want to go. Those were my main priorities versus what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Sure. I wanted to be a teacher for a long time, as a kid. For sure. My mom was a teacher and I always really liked school and my teachers. So that was definitely up there. And then I studied Latin American studies and business in college. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with that. I just found it really interesting.
And you'll hear from this week's musical guest in just a minute. She's a dynamic pop artist from Iran. My name is Todd Hancock. Appreciate you being there, taking the time to check us out. Coming up shortly in Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, Econoline Crush singer Trevor Hurst shares mega producer Bob Rock's in-studio advice that he's held on to over the years. That is now powered by the Home Dwell Group. I've known one of the core members since literally grade 6. Trust that they'll give you expert guidance and personalized service every step of the way, from listing to closing, unparalleled market insight. If you're buying, if you're selling your home, contact Kyle today, homedwell.ca. First, our first guest of 3, this week's musical guest, singer-songwriter Shab. As mentioned off the top, she was born in Iran, and her journey has taken her across the globe. More on that in just a sec. After talking to Shab, you learn that she's a testament to resilience, to passion. Follow her Instagram, Shab Music Official, and she takes you behind the scenes of her career, music videos and tour life, motivational posts like you create beauty with your attitude, behavior, and actions. We talk about being from a big family, how she can read people's energy, the grind of touring, her charity work, and back to traveling the globe. Here, Shab talks about growing up in Iran and eventually fleeing to Germany at a very young age.
I did. I grew up in Tehran the first 8 years of my life. It was like 8.5, 9. I was finished second grade, but I also started school when I was 5.5. I was in first grade. So I was already by seventh grade. I was like 7.5. I was already doing third grade.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
And we went to Turkey when I was 8, and I was in Ankara for a year. So I was waiting for my paperwork to go to Germany. And I was learning how to speak Turkish, and I had a lot of Turkish friends. So because I was so young, I was just picking up languages so quickly. And my mom stayed with me, and then she had to go. Then my brother was with me for a couple months. And yeah, it's been quite the journey to be where I am. So, and then I
was reading your bio this morning, and was that a tough decision to leave? And I mean, you moved to Germany, but you moved in with your sister. It's not like you just left and like, see you later. But was that a hard decision for you to leave your parents and stuff? And
my parents, my father passed during the Persian Revolution, 79, and I was 6 months old. I had just been born. So he died, and my mom was left with all the 13 kids by herself, and I was her baby. So yeah, I was a mama's girl. It was really hard, but four of my brothers and sisters had left like 4 years prior. They went to Germany, so I hadn't seen my siblings in so long, and I had missed them, and I was very close to them. So I was alone. I was just like, I didn't have any play buddies. I had to I had my friends, neighbors and stuff, but it was a tough decision. And I really missed my mom because I was a mommy's girl, and I had to move in with my sister, and my paperwork came. Then I went to Germany, and I was there for 4 years. But I adapted really nicely. I loved Germany so much. I had the best time of my life because I was an adult. I was taking myself to school with the Straßenbahn. It's like a train that comes like every 2 minutes. Nobody talk like. Everyone is like so polite. They're all dressed like business clothes or school. Nobody bothers you. It's so safe. So I was taking myself from point A to point B. I was super independent. And I learned how to speak fluent German, and I made a lot of friends, and I started tennis, and I really loved it, and I was getting very good at it, and where they wanted to take me to be like compete professionally. So my life changed. And then I came to America when I was 14. And my paperwork finally came. And I remember packing my stuff. I was praying every day to come to US because I wanted to be reunited with my brothers and sisters. And it was like the best day of my life. Finally got my ticket. My sister was sad. She didn't want me to go. She said, it's your choice, but your life will change when you go there. I just want to make sure you're ready for that. And I said, you know what, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to go because I need to be with my mom. I needed to see my mom again, So went to John F. Kennedy Airport, New York, straight flight from Frankfurt. And so then I, get there, and then there's like these two officers that were like 6'7", and I don't know why they sent the tallest people they had. And I was just like, and I just looked at them. I was like, I froze. I only spoke German and Farsi, and they were speaking English to me, and they're like, welcome to America. I don't know what they're saying. And I was just like so scared. They're like, it's okay. We'll take you. I just knew a few words, and I said, okay, thank you. They took me to the immigration. I waited for an hour, and then they handed my green card in my hands. It was the best day of my life. I was just so excited, and they put me back on a plane. It was an hour flight to Baltimore from New York, and my family was waiting there for me. And it just brings back memories.
A great story, Shab. Like, it is truly remarkable.
Thank you. I think so.
Shab has quite the story, and obviously you're not going to hear the full interview on this podcast. It's 37 minutes long. If you want to hear all of that, it's up now at iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. If you'd rather watch on our YouTube channel, all at Toddcast Podcast. So being raised in Iran, fleeing to Germany, what was the music in her life as a kid growing up?
Back in the day, I had a lot of older brothers and sisters. I mean, I have a brother that's probably he's 68. So, yeah, it's a big gap. And they would play ABBA, they would play the Jacksons, they would play a lot of disco stuff. I heard everything. I mean, I was exposed to so many different types of styles of music. And then, of course, I went to Turkey, and we always loved the Middle Eastern beat. And then went to Germany. I was exposed to more like the pop and dance and, techno and a little bit of this stuff here there. I'm like, oh my God, I never heard this kind of stuff before. This is so cool. It's like discovering a new genre. And that's why my music is so diverse, and I have a little bit of everything, because I'm like, I don't want to just stick to one genre. It's world pop for me. That's what I love, because it's just so diverse.
Don't you love hearing about people's childhoods, the things that they did, the lifestyles that they lived, the music that they heard? Honestly, I could ask every person on earth about this sort of stuff and not get sick of hearing the replies. You can learn so much from somebody from the answers that you get. Shab's dedication to the craft is evident in her social media posts. She's super grateful for her team, as you can see her reflecting on that. And being that we were talking around Christmas time, we talked about our favorite Christmas movies. Shab lives in Dallas, Texas. We talked about their music scene and what that's like. Boxing came up. So did the Jackson 5 and disco. She talked about what specifically she remembers about seeing a J-Lo concert when she was younger, and when it was that she started taking music seriously, which was only back in 2020.
I always loved music, but I think professionally, I'm like, this is not a hobby. People are like, oh, I'm like, no, this is a business. This is something I wanna grow into creating, eventually maybe become the poster child of getting all the keys. I have a few more keys left. I've already collected many keys. And if I just collect the rest of them, I can go through that door and I can let other people in, so I can help them make their dreams come true.
And incredibly, Shab worked with a Grammy Award-winning producer almost right out of the gate. Super impressive when you think about it and consider when she got into the game, like right around COVID. Boy, it's crazy that what the pandemic did for some people, hey? Listen to Shab talking about her career highlight thus far.
Yes, definitely. I would say my tours in the UK. I felt like a real artist. The first time I went on a tour, I remember I was really scared. I was prepared, but I wasn't as prepared as I thought I would have been. And it was Anastasia. She canceled a lot of tours. I mean, that could have been a really amazing tour for me. But because she canceled a lot of Germany. And Germany, I grew up in Germany, and I had my speech in German, and I couldn't wait to go back and tell the German people how much I appreciate them, how much I love them. It's my beloved Germany, because I was the first country that accepted me as a refugee. I'm so grateful, just going back and just giving them love and being thankful, and my beloved US, of course. But my last tour that I did with JLS, I've done 4 tours so far, and 2 of them were like arena tours, my first arena tour, and I did 18 shows, and I was up there for a good 40 minutes, and it just was this amazing energy, and it's incredible to be able to be prepared, that God gives you that energy to go and sing your music and finally share it with the world is the greatest gift and blessing in the world, to be able to do what you love, because your spirit is alive and you're sharing all these things with the people that, your fans that you love, and, you all exchanging energy. And it's such a beautiful thing. That's was the highlight of it. I was prepared. I was on the Stairmaster every day for 2 hours and doing, and I was just like, you know what, I want to go be prepared. I want my voice to be prepared. I want myself to be prepared. And I was prepared, and I was really proud of the shows that I did, and I was ready.
Red Truck Beer, delivered fresh, the official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
apologize. You just might surprise yourself. Yes, you've been hypnotized all this time. Recognize that none of this blame it lies with yourself. You need to rectify it. Apologize. You don't have the time as it takes. You just come to see what you want to see. Start burning. It's brought me here again. Isolation has become my friend. Every single day is the same. I can't seem to explain it. No, no. I think that I'm original, but I'm not. Everything has been taught to me. Show me something real. We've just come to see what we want to see.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Econoline Crush formed in 1992. They're from Vancouver. They hit platinum status with their The Devil You Know album back in 1997. A couple Juno nominations in 1995 for Purge, in 98 for The Devil You Know. They went on a hiatus in 2005. Back for some shows in 2006. They put out the album Ignite in 2008. And the last time their singer Trevor Hurst was a guest, the band was on a Canadian tour. And honestly, the fact that they're still going over 30 years later is pretty incredible. I've known the guy since the late 90s. They would come into Seafox from time to time during my 15-year stint there. And the last time around, we talked to Trevor for close to an hour. He told a Bob Ezrin and Billy Idol story that you're going to love. We talked about GNR, playing Madison Square Garden. He touched on guitarist Ziggy's death, which was back in March of 22. We talked about touring with Kiss and all the stuff that he learned from them. We touched on addiction, NHL playoffs, being inspired by INXS, Chris Cornell, and The Cult. And stop me if you've heard this before. Trevor talked about being in studio with legendary producer Bob Rock and the advice that he's held on to over the years.
Okay, so you know how it's interesting, like, as you age and you go through life, I don't know if everybody does this, but I tend to like to revisit some advice I get and how I processed it at the time and see if I want to process it any differently. And I can remember working on, I don't know if it was You Don't Know What It's Like or Make It Right. but there was a moment in time where it was just kind of like myself, Ziggy, and Bob Rock in the studio. And Bob says, you know, I said something about, oh man, this is so cool, the way this sounds. And Ziggy was like, yeah, man, it's Hitsville, USA, or something. Like he said, you know, it was really funny, like just the way he said it. And Bob looked at him and he was like, you know, it doesn't matter what happens with the song. I mean, you should be like involved in the process. The process is the answer. That's where the, you know, the meat of it is, or whatever. And I can remember like looking at Bob and looking at Zig and kind of watching this go down and going, man, what a bunch of bullshit. We got to sell some records, you know? Like, you know, I was like,
oh, the process is fine, but dude, we need this to be a big song.
Yeah. And, but now I understand what he's talking about, because like at the end of the day, you know, you don't know what the hell your song's going to do, but you will record and you will record and you will record and you'll build this thing. And if you enjoy building the machine, which we do so much, we've been doing it and doing it and doing it for over all these years and rebuilding it and tooling it and fixing it and changing it and building it, tearing it up and building it again. We've been doing it so many times that you start to understand, hey man, it's the process. It's the process of recording, writing, fighting for the parts, you know, losing the battle for the parts, going over, you know, arrangements. it's cool, man. The whole thing is cool. It's a blessed existence. And I think the sooner in your career you learn that, the better.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by the Home Dwell Group. Buying a house? Selling your home? Contact Kyle at homedwell.ca today.
And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
You kiss my lungs. Play records on the phone tonight while you get drunk. All in all, I wanna show everyone I've ever known. You remember that ghost of mine? She jumps my bones. Hey, Snow White, I got a thing for you tonight. In your room, I find myself crawling on.
The band is The Vitoes. I love that one. It's called Perfect Stranger. And I'd be willing to bet you'll see that one if you come to our next live show at the end of the month. So on Friday, January 31st at the Blue Light Studio in beautiful East Vancouver. In fact, it's our 10th anniversary party. We're officially into year 11 of the Toddcast. Blue Light Sessions, Volume 34. The Vitoes, Colin Sankey, Patrick Gavigan, Cobra Ramon and friends. 45-minute sets with the interviews, the performance. It's very intimate. It's very interactive. This one specifically is going to be very special. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but trust me, if you come, you're going to be blown away. Buy tickets right now through eventbrite.ca, Eventbrite, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.ca. $20, $25 if you wait for the door. I don't know that there's going to be tickets available for the door. Just saying. Doors are at 7. Show starts at 8-ish. I played you Matt Storm and a relatively new song for him. It's called Apologize. Love Matt's work. I always, of course, want to showcase him whenever I can. So coming up in just a few minutes, in Listen to This, Canadian bluesman David Gogo talks about his career highlights of playing with one of the greats. That, as always, is powered by 9-year sponsor, Tedco RV Supplies out in Langley. They're your go-to for RV service, repairs, and accessories. They are ICBC accredited as well. Truly key to why we've been able to keep banging off these podcasts for you year after year after year. You can find them online if you'd prefer, rather than the, in person. Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week is our sporting guest, weight loss coach Molly McKennedy. That, as always, is powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best online dispensary for cannabis, psilocybin, psychedelics. Shop now through sacredmeds.co. This site is insane. Weed, mushrooms, edibles, vapes, dabs, oils, DMT, CBD, so much more. It's crazy. Sacredmeds.co. So let's face it, losing weight can be a challenge. You need determination, patience, persistence. You face setbacks like emotional eating, lack of motivation, unrealistic expectations. Often, your progress can feel slow or nothing at all, but small, consistent changes lead to lasting results. You need to lean on your friends, communities, professionals like Molly. They make a big difference and can turn a daunting task into empowering transformations.
So, officially a weight loss coach / nutrition coach for, it's coming up on 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was it that made you kind of go down that road?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm full transparency. I am 49, and since the age of 16, I have been very interested in physique, anatomy, muscle, and then eventually, kind of realized to really achieve the muscular look that I want to, it's going to require supreme nutrition. So I learned about this stuff at an early age, just for myself being my own guinea pig and being an athlete like I was. Mm-hmm. And back then we had to read everything. There was no podcast to watch, right? No YouTube, Instagram. Sure. It was literally just reading, from the library or at school, or you knew somebody personally who could help you out. So yeah, that's kind of how I started.
If you're like me, struggling to keep that weight off, or certainly maybe even lose some, the full talk is definitely worth hearing. It's close to 40 minutes with Molly. You can hear it, you can see it on our social media platforms, all at Toddcast Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, YouTube. I think we all know that exercise is essential for your overall health, especially as we get older, which we've talked about a fair amount on this podcast over the years. It improves your physical fitness, your mental well-being, your overall energy. Regular activity strengthens your heart, your immunity, reduces stress. It can even boost your mood. It can help you get better sleep, prevent chronic illnesses. As you would expect, we talked to Molly about a lot about fitness, nutrition, and working out, meal planning, that sort of thing. But we got into other things like cheat foods, steak and sushi. We talked Christmas movies, short-term goals, triathlons, and the broad strokes like exercise that everyone should be doing.
Wow. I mean, here's the thing is you should adhere to what excites you, and that's so different for everybody, which when you look at what I do, it's pretty much basic weight training. It's the same stuff people were doing in 1975, 1980. I always looked up to those guys like Arnold and, Corey Everson. She was a pioneer in female bodybuilding. So like the stuff that they were doing, that's kind of what I adhere to. I know it works and I get excited about it. But there's so many opportunities now, to move your body in a different way. We've got all this stuff now. You walk into any gym and there's all kinds of classes. You could do circuit training. You can just do cardio if you want. If I was going to say, kind of a blanket umbrella statement, I would say, you should incorporate in some kind of resistance training as well as, some kind of, cardiovascular. And it doesn't have to be intense and it doesn't have to be every day. But if you're going to do weight training, I say work up to a minimum of 3 days per week, 30 minutes, you can certainly do longer, but I mean, if at least shoot for that. And cardio, 2 to 3 times a week, or just moving your body for 30 minutes intentionally every day. I mean, yeah, I think people have a feeling that if you're going to be a worker outer, you have to be intense about it, and you don't. You just have to be intentional and consistent.
Yeah, there's that talk of like, you need to get in 10,000 steps.
Exactly. And that can look like, hey, I parked my car far away at the grocery and, now I'm doing the hike across the parking lot. And then, by the way, when I get in the grocery store, I'm going to do a full loop of the perimeter before I even start shopping. Like, You can do little things like that, to hit those steps.
And I get it. Exercising can be tough. Maybe you have a busy schedule. Sometimes there's a lack of motivation or just physical discomfort. There's even mental barriers like self-doubt that get in the way. We talked to Molly about all of that, finding motivation to keep things going. She touched on workout routines, nighttime snacking. I'm bad for that. We talked a lot about music as well, like the Bangles, Eagles, Santana. She met Sheryl Crow's drummer, great story. The TV shows that she's been binge watching, and significant achievements and milestones. You're going to love her career highlight.
So athletically, I would say competing at the International Triathlon Union World Championship Duathlon in Guernica, Spain. That was a long time ago. It was back in 1997. But I was on top of the world then. I was, at the top of my athletic career. I was, like 19, 20 years old. And in Spain competing with, top athletes from the US and top athletes from all over the world. And I placed third. Was really happy with that because I actually qualified for that event kind of on a whim. I know that sounds crazy, but I did a race in Alabama and it happened to be a qualifying race for the World Championship. And I placed in my age group. I won. And so they gave me an invite and it was just pretty incredible. That was an amazing experience.
That's nuts. What are you best at? Running, swimming, biking?
I would say I was the best at running at that point. I don't run anymore, but that was definitely my background. I started as a runner and then got into triathlon. So I basically had to like go learn how to swim real quick so I could go compete in this triathlon. It's like, yeah. Just, everyone's like, just get through the swim. Well, it's a swim, bike, run. So the good thing is, you just have to hold your own in the water, get through it. And then on the bike, kind of the same thing. You don't have to be fantastic, but just hold your own, do pretty well. And then if you're a strong runner, then you can pass everybody on the run at the end.
Yeah. Well, they can't do it the other way, Molly. Imagine if they did it where
putting the swim at the end
was the end. And like, oh my God, 7 people died on this trial.
Yeah, they're all drowning.
It would be a disaster.
Toddcast Podcast sporting guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best online dispensary for cannabis, psilocybin, and psychedelics. Shop now at sacredmeds.co.
I'm alive. I can feel the blood running through my veins. feel the blood running through my veins tonight. I'm inspired, I'm electrified. You know it feels it's right for me, and I can't see it. One day at a time, until I clear my mind. One day at a time, and you'll find tomorrow's waiting. One day at a time. One day at a time. One day at a time, and you'll find tomorrow's waiting. No more mountains to climb. I'm alive. I can see the light shining through my soul tonight.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca. And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
Not surprisingly, Canadian bluesman David Gogo has been playing guitar since he was 5 years old. At 15, he went to the Royal Theatre in Victoria to see Stevie Ray Vaughan play, who then encouraged David to pursue the blues. The next year, at 16, David started getting regular work as a musician. He started a band called The Persuaders, opened up for some truly awesome bands, Johnny Winter, Buddy Guy. Can you imagine that as a teenager? David's a Maple Blues Award winner, has played so many festivals over the years, relentless touring, Juno-nominated albums, Western Canadian Music Awards nominated albums, truly an incredible career with an impossibly amazing career highlight. Listen to this.
It's kind of tough. I mean, I've been really fortunate. I've opened up for so many of my musical heroes, especially blues people. Mm-hmm. And quite often in those situations, well, not quite often, but sometimes in those situations, I got to sit in with them. So I've sat in with Albert Collins, Johnny Winter, and B.B. King. So probably, Johnny was always a hero. But I'd have to say, to get, to be standing on stage and trading guitar like the B.B. King, that's probably got to be it.
And like, what's that like? Looking over there's B.B. King playing with you. Really?
I was 21 or 22 at the time, so it was even more surreal, Yeah. But the fact that he was a really super nice guy made it so much easier.
I bet.
So he was just encouraging. In fact, I was kind of playing quietly because I was trying to be respectful, and he kind of cocked his hand behind his ear and said, I can't hear you. And the bass player looked at me and goes, "Turn it up."
Right, like encouraging. Let's go.
Yeah. So I turned the amp up, and there I was. So it was weird. It was over in Switzerland.
Oh yeah.
So, I was walking on sunshine. Wow! I just played with B.B. King. So I went down to an after-hours jam and played a bunch more, and actually played with B.B.'s band. Just kind of fronted the band. I did that, but by the time I got back to my hotel room, I just couldn't sleep. And
yeah, there's no sleeping that night.
No, and I kind of looked at the clock, and I tried to phone some people back in Canada. And, back then it was a little more difficult. You had to phone through the hotel and everything. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't sleep. I went, wow, holy shit, I just played on stage with B.B. King.
That's pretty awesome.
Listen to This on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
slip beneath the rhythms of your vicious tone. We are the same person when you cut through the skin and bone. Captured by the ego, prisoner to a balanced will. Strangulate this feeling, cause I'm looking for my very first cow. Acting like an animal, cut your teeth and let it go. Bust it down the dirty road, you know what's at stake. Stay in control, but don't you bother me, cause I'm losing all control. Burns inside of me. It's effortless, the outcome. Failure to communicate. We both know the shadow's coming now. It's much too late. Something far from over, and you pause to make a better mistake. Nothing to lose but pride and blood, and it's such an ugly price to pay. Shut your mouth and go away. Disappear and fade away. Rock your love and all again. You know what's at stake. Stay in control, but don't you bother me, cause I'm losing all control. Burns inside of me. Again, and how did we lose our way? And how did we lose our way? Bested and shattered again, cause we don't belong this way. We don't belong this way. Oh. One chance to get it right, fell short this time. Don't see the eye to eye, and it all comes down to break me. Break me.
That band is The Turn, and an awesome song for those guys called Dirty Knuckles. That one goes back to the mid-2000s. Patrick Gavigan fronted that band, and he's going to be playing some songs with the Vito's at our next live show at the end of the month, our 10th anniversary party. Again, it's on Friday, January 31st at the Blue Light Studio. The Vito's, Colin Sankey, Patrick Gavigan and friends, Cobra Ramon will be there. Tickets are almost sold out for this show, so grab them right now before you can't. Again, through eventbrite.ca. Event, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.ca, just 20 bones. You heard Freeborn Soul, and that was their song called One Day at a Time. Their singer, Dave Gorman, is also part of our 10th anniversary party. He'll be joining the guys in the Vito's and singing something with them as well. Cannot wait for this night. It's going to be something special without putting too much pressure, of course, on everybody. Okay, our final guest of this episode 354 is men's dating coach Blaine Anderson, this week's entertainment guest, powered by Thrive Management, an event staffing agency here in Canada. It is the biggest, it is the best. Models and brand ambassadors, operations and sales, TV, film, trade shows, home maintenance, and more. They work in major cities across the country. Find out how they can make your next event special. Talk to them through thrivemanagement.ca. Sasha will hook you up. So if you're like me and lucky to not have to date in the 2020s, couldn't imagine what that would be like. Think about social media. Sure, it makes it easy to meet people, but navigating those waters would be choppy at best. It would be hard to find authenticity, shared values, open-mindedness, or emotional intelligence, meaningful interactions. To help things along, listen to Blaine talk about her 80-20 rule of her online courses.
Yeah, so when it comes to my courses, I like to say the 80-20 rule applies. of course, there's different ways to skin this cat. You know, like, okay, there's not just one sequence of photos in your dating app profile that is going to work for you. There are a variety, but there are general principles, whether it's for your dating app profile or approaching a woman or going on a date, that are going to apply most of the time. And that's the advice I focus on. You know, if you're the type of person who's like, well, like looking for the reason it's not going to work, then, you know, a course or, you know, just soliciting advice generally probably isn't going to help you. But if you're open to taking advice and saying like, okay, this is probably going to work for me, but it might require some A/B testing or iteration, then I think you'd be surprised like how standardized the advice can be. And then with the caveat, like everyone's a little bit different, every woman's a little bit different. So it might require some nuance and understanding, which is why in my coaching and in my courses, both, yes, we have like formulas and best practices like I just touched on, but I also am very deliberate to be teaching the fundamentals of the why behind why you're doing what you're doing. If you don't understand the psychology behind why this advice is the advice I'm giving, then it's much harder to, you know, A/B test or make tweaks to see what works for you. It's very important that you have that foundation. If you're just blindly putting, you know, saying these lines or doing these things because somebody else told you to, but you don't understand the reason it's supposed to work, then you're probably not going to have as much success.
Yeah, just a super interesting conversation with a matchmaker, a dating coach. We talked with Blaine for about 25 minutes. It's up now at all of our socials. And as always, we got into it more than what she's known for, talking about binging Sex in the City, teaching aspirations, business applications. The Spice Girls came up, so did jealousy, living abroad, pregnancy, and the common mistakes that men make when dating.
Yeah, there's a few. One of the common mistakes I see with my clients is not being willing to stick their neck out enough. So they oftentimes are operating from a place of fear of rejection or fear of being creepy. And so they aren't actually taking enough risks in their dating life. They aren't putting themselves out there. They aren't trying new things. They aren't approaching enough women.
And what's the ideal first date? Or is there one?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of a first date being lightweight. It obviously depends on where you met her too. If this is someone you met on a dating app, that is a stranger. And so keeping it really short and really lightweight just to see, like as a vibe check is what I recommend. And then if it goes great, have a more involved, longer second date. Or even like think about the first date or like the first time you're meeting as date 0. You're just checking each other out. And then date 1 is like really the second time you're meeting. So with that in mind, getting drinks, going to a dive bar, getting tapas, a food truck, even going for a walk or to a cafe, coffee, those all make good first dates, in my opinion. If it's a setup or you know each other already, so you have a bit more trust that this person you're at least going to have a good time meeting. They are who they say they are, that sort of thing. Then I think a more involved first date can be appropriate, like dinner, or, you know, even an activity as long as it's not too long. But you want to make sure you give yourself the opportunity to talk. Like the movies, a concert, a comedy show, not a good first date because you're listening to other people talk.
It really is a fine line to walk. Like you want the other person to like you, of course, but you can't talk too much about yourself. You have to actively listen to the conversation, which is harder than you think. You can't rush intimacy. You have to genuinely like the other person. Don't be too cliche. Of course, personal hygiene is important. You can't set unrealistic expectations. Dating in the 2020s, it ain't easy. As Blaine talked about the friend zone, first dates, we got into other parts of her life, like working in the travel industry before getting into being a dating coach. She talked about the Beatles, Steely Dan, Bob Marley, told a near-death story from her time in Argentina. We talked about author Rebecca Yarros being on Shark Tank, no easy feat. You want to talk intense pressure to pitch your ideas? Yeah, Shark Tank.
Oh, wow. I feel like I have a lot of career highlights. Can I give you 2? I feel like every time I get an email from a client being like, I got married or I just got engaged, the love of my life, and it is thanks to your class. It's because you helped me make a dating app profile that would attract her, because you gave me the courage to approach her. That is like every single time a career highlight. That's why I do what I do, and it's what makes me so happy. Sure. And then I would say one of my other career highlights was I was on Shark Tank. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a show in the US.
Yeah.
And that was really, really like anxiety inducing at the time and challenging, and took a lot of preparation, but ultimately was really fun, and definitely something that I'm glad I had the opportunity to do.
Yeah. Like, what was that like? Shark Tank is kind of ruthless, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, it was intense. It's exactly what you see on TV. Like, you don't talk to the sharks before or after. Like, you're up on this stage. There's like nobody, like everything is blacked out on the sides, but there's a ton of like so many camera people there, sound people, all these people, and you're on this giant stage by yourself, lights shining on you, cameras all around, and then the sharks are just sitting in front of you. So it's definitely anxiety inducing.
How many times did you practice that to yourself in the mirror? Like,
oh my God. I mean, a bazillion, like your opening intro, because you walk out and you make your pitch so many times, but I was really happy with how it went. I did fumble some of my numbers, like about my business, which is just like when you're up there, and it's so funny because afterwards people, you like see the comments, they're like, how could she not know this stuff? And it's like, you're on the spot, and it's like, so like I said, anxiety inducing.
The pressure of that is insane.
Yeah. So your brain is like, at least my brain was like short circuiting, and I'm not a numbers person. Like, I love my business, and like, it's a really good business, but like, that's not why I do what I do. I do it, like, as I mentioned, because I love helping people and I love working with guys. So it's not like I'm sitting here every day, like looking at the bank account, like calculating like what I made. So it's like, yeah, I prepared those numbers in advance, but I truly wasn't even thinking about them. So when I went up there, it was challenging.
Toddcast Podcast entertainment guest visits are powered by Thrive Management, an event staffing agency that provides staffing services across Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa, and all of BC. Find out more at thrivemanagement.ca.
They are called Murderers, and a pummeling song for those guys called Thoughts and Prayers. Well, one of my favorite new bands here in Vancouver of last year, without a doubt, with hopes that we'll be able to dial up a live show with them later on in the year. Got fingers crossed for that. Really looking forward to our next Toddcast. We'll go back over the years, and you'll hear 9 guests and some key highlights from their visits. Of course, I wanted to give a big thanks to this week's guests as well. Shab, weight loss coach Molly McKennedy, dating coach Blaine Anderson. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us and jumping on a Zoom and sharing your stories. And that's going to do it for this one, episode 354. Once again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening and for being there. If you like what you heard, please do tell your friends about us. We are part of the Realm.fm network. They're based out of New York City, worldwide distribution. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Megaphone, YouTube, and more. Comment and rate the podcast. That helps out big time. A search of Toddcast Podcast, you'll find us. Of course, a huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca, the newly revamped, the mobile-friendly version of toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can for as little as $10 a day. There is contact info at the homepage. And keep in mind, if you help us find a sponsor, we will pay you. We'll give you a commission. All right, Joe Rogan, it's over to you, buddy. Let's see you do the same thing. Till next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Hi, I'm Sarah Gabrielli, and I've traveled to every single lesbian bar in the country for my podcast, Cruising.
Dancing was a no-no. No women dancing. That would be something that, yes, the cops would grab you for.
There were no black-owned female gay bars. We needed a place of our own.
In those days, we went to the bars to socialize because there was no other way.
When you went to Brady's bar, you knew you were safe.
This is Cruising, a documentary podcast about queer spaces, history, and culture. Each episode of Cruising features a different space and tells the stories of the humans that run it and the humans that call it home. You can listen to Cruising on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Season 1 and 2 are available now, so be sure to binge them before Season 3, which will go beyond the bars to queer bookstores, farms, peace encampments, and more, premiering February 4th.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's incredible Only One story. We talk to real people dealing with issues like infertility, the death of a loved one, human trafficking, and women who, fake it. Oh, and we want to be fair, so we talk to celebrities too. Emmy winners like actor John Cryer, supermodels like Amber Valletta, and rock stars like Ryan Dusick. Everyone is invited to share their Only One story with our listeners. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee you that Only One in the Room has a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone. Download Only One in the Room on Apple or Spotify today.